Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I hope you like my content, and if you do, make sure you subscribe. Today we're going to be doing a different type of video. If you follow me on any of my other platforms, then you know that about a week and a half ago I had surgery on my breast. I had a very small reduction with a lift, and I've gotten so many questions about this whole process. So today we're going to be doing a story time. I'm going to get as in-depth as I can and break it down for you guys from the time that I decided to get surgery through the entire process up until now. I'm gonna be as detailed as possible. I'm gonna try to include every little thing. So grab some tea, some coffee, a snack, sit down, and let's chat. Where do I begin? Let's start from the top, okay? Previous to this surgery that I just had, my breasts were 100% natural. As in, I have never had them touched, I've never had them surgically enhanced, I've never done anything to them. So from the time that, I went through puberty and the time, I've always had really large breasts. Always. I mean, I don't remember a time where I didn't. And growing up, it wasn't too fun. Like, I remember when I went to go prom dress shopping for my junior prom, I left all the boutiques crying because nothing fit. Everything was so, if it fit me up top, it was so big everywhere else. And if it fit me everywhere else, it wouldn't fit me at the top. And so I had a lot of frustrating times in my life because of my big breast. But overall, I didn't mind them. Overall, I liked them. I didn't see anything wrong with them. But because they had always been so big, I never have had like the perky, cute little boobies that sit up high. I have never had that. My weight fluctuated so much when I was younger, and I mean, at my lowest I was maybe 115 pounds. At my highest I was probably like 180, and my boobies would take the biggest hit. When I gained weight, they would get uber big. When I lost weight, they would shrink down. So because of all of that, I got so many stretch marks on my breast, and I lost a lot of elasticity, which led to them not being the perkiest. I never was like upset about the stretch marks. Stretch marks don't really bother me. I have a lot of them, like everywhere on my body. They're everywhere. They do not bother me. What did kind of bother me more, obviously, was the loose skin that comes with the stretch marks. When I was younger, I didn't really have that big of a problem, except like here or there when I was like looking for a specific type of dress that I needed and I couldn't fit it. But other than that, they never really were a big issue to me, because at that point in time I went to school, we had a dress code, you know what I mean? So I had to dress, long sleeves or whatever. I put on a bra. It was normal. As I got out of school and got older, and then you can wear like strapless and off the shoulder tops, that's when I started to notice it more. I can't really wear, the way that my breasts were, I couldn't go without wearing a bra. I just could not, which means I can't really wear anything that's strapless, anything that's off the shoulder, anything like that. It makes it really difficult for me to be able to wear because of the fact that I have to have on a bra. I mean, you can wear like a strapless with a bra, and if the bra doesn't bother you, awesome. But for me, it did. I just didn't like how it looked, and I wanted to be able to wear those type of things without a bra. I wanted to look good without having to worry about, okay, well, can I wear a bra in this? Or like, oh, do I have to wear a duster with this or something over it so it doesn't show? I would get away with it a lot in my pictures and even in my YouTube videos because I can fix my hair to kind of cover up my bra. But I can't do that going to the grocery store because the bra goes all the way around. It's gonna be in the back, it's gonna be in the front. So that was just like a solution that worked for online. So I started doing research. I thought right now was a good time in my life to go ahead and pull the trigger and go through with getting something done to fix that issue. The most common solution was a breast lift. The thing about all of the before and after pictures that I saw on Real Self and everywhere else, the breast was lifted, but it still had some sag because it didn't have any volume at the top. It was almost as if they just had moved them up higher, you know? I wanted to have a nice shape altogether. I wanted them to look round, and I wanted volume at the top. Essentially, I wanted to look the way I looked with a bra on, without a bra on. That was my ultimate goal. That to me was like, oh my goodness, if I can do that, or if I can get close to that, that was my ideal image. So as I did more research, I saw that you could get, with a lift, you could also get implants, and that would give you the fullness of the breast at the top that I was kind of looking for. I was not 100% on board with implants. The thought of having something foreign in my body kind of scared me, just because I know that there's maintenance that comes with that. Breast implants don't last forever. You have to come in and get them switched out, I think every 10 or maybe 15 years. And I also know that because you weren't born with, you know, this implant, your body could reject it, and that could lead to complications and all of that. So it really made me nervous, but I thought that this was the best solution for my problem. I started kind of looking around for doctors. I was lucky enough to start talking to my coordinator, Laurie, at PSI, California. I did an online consultation with her. I sent in my pictures to see if this was something that they could work with, and I did all of that. They got back to me super quick. I think it was the next day. She said, yes, you're a candidate for this procedure. So while all of this was kind of going on, I was getting everything situated, I realized that I had a friend who had had surgery with Dr. Hakeem, which was the doctor I was looking at PSI. So I hit her up, I chit-chatted with her. She was nice enough to call me and answer all of my questions. I mean, I think we were on the phone for like 2 hours that day. And she told me that she loved the whole experience. Everything was good. She healed very nicely. She still had sensation in both of her nipples. Her scars healed up nicely. I mean, she had nothing but good things to say. To me, I was like, okay, it's a go. I'm gonna go to this doctor. To me, no, speaking to someone one-on-one who had gone to him before just gave me that confidence that I needed to fly cross country from Georgia to California for this surgery with Dr. Hakeem. So I got the ball rolling with Lori. It was March, I believe, when I scheduled my surgery, and I scheduled it for May. And I thought, okay, that gives me plenty of time to sort everything out, to get myself, you know, mentally prepped and ready for this surgery. Then that's when COVID kind of blew up. And as I got closer to my surgery date, I reached out to my coordinator and I was like, listen, I want to reschedule my surgery, you know, maybe 1 more month. I didn't expect COVID to go away, but I thought giving it maybe 1 more month would be better, because the airlines and the businesses and everyone would have more time to kind of implement the changes that they were going through to make sure everything was safe. My coordinator right away was like, absolutely, we can change that for you. And we found a better date. We changed it and it was set. I talked to my friend who agreed to fly out to California with me and stay there for a couple days to take care of me while I was recovering. So I bought our plane tickets, I got our Airbnb, got everything ready, and it was just kind of like a waiting game. So about 2 weeks before my surgery, I went up to Atlanta. My doctor had ordered labs to make sure that I didn't have any underlying conditions, and that basically you're okay to have surgery, right? Because the last thing you want is to go in for a very simple elective surgery and there's something wrong with you that makes it not be so good, you know, or it can turn something very minimal into something very big. So I went down there, I got all my labs done. They took blood, they did my testing. I also got an EKG to make sure that my heart was healthy, that it was good, and it was strong like a lion. And my lab in Atlanta sent my results directly to my doctor. He looked at them, cleared them. Laurie was also nice enough to send over my prescriptions electronically to a local pharmacy, so I was able to go grab my medicine and have it with me and take it with me to California, which was such a help, because if I wouldn't have gotten my prescriptions until I showed up, some places make you wait a couple days to give you your prescription, so that would have been bad. But luckily we got that, everything cleared pretty quickly. The day came. I did have a couple times where I would freak myself out just thinking about the surgery. One of my really close friends has also had a breast reduction, so sometimes I would vent to her, and you know, she would kind of reassure me. And my friend who I originally had spoken about this surgery with, who had also gone to Dr. Hakeem, ended up becoming one of my really good friends, and sometimes I would call her and she would just hear me out and reassure me as well. I only had maybe like 2 or 3 freakouts like that where I was like, like, oh my god, like, should I do this? But I think that's very normal. You know, having to prepare for a surgery, I think, is more mental than anything else. Anyways, so the day came. Thursday, I had an early flight out to California. Me and my friend both flew from Atlanta out there. I flew American, which, by the way, flew at full capacity. When we got to LAX, it took us a little bit to get our rental car. It took me like 2 hours to get my rental car, because apparently when you land at LAX, you can't just catch an Uber. You have to catch a shuttle that takes you to a parking lot where you can catch an Uber. It was a lot. So finally got everything settled, and then we drove up to Huntington Beach, California, which is where my doctor is based. I was gonna have my pre-op. We got there a little bit early, so we went and grabbed a bite to eat because we had not ate all day. And then I went in, and everyone was very nice. When I got there, they took my temperature, you know, they asked some questions, taking safety precautions because of everything that's going on right now. Then I got to meet my coordinator, Lori, the woman I had been talking to all this time trying to figure everything out. And it was so funny because it just felt like I had seen like an old friend, like I knew her from years ago and I just ran into her. It was just like such a familiar feeling in the office. The nurses were really, really nice as well, really comforting. They took me in for my pre-op. I changed into my gown. So after a few minutes, my doctor came in and I got to meet him face to face. And as we're kind of talking, he's talking to me, trying to see like, okay, well, look, this is what we have you down for. He got really in depth to explain to me all of my options. He really wanted me to know what options were available for me and the pros and the cons to every single one. He went in and he explained what a typical lift looks like. You know, they cut the skin, they tighten it, all of that. He then got to the implants, which is what I was kind of nervous about. And he mentioned you will probably have to do maintenance on them and you'll probably have to have surgery again. And he told me the process of placing the implant under the muscle and what effects that kind of has on your body, because it is under the muscle's kind of pushing down on that implant, and at some point or another it can kind of push the implant out of place because there's always that pressure from your muscles pushing down on it, in which you would have to come in and have surgery to get that fixed. And then he says to me, but I have a third option for you that I think you might like. And he continues to tell me that he can do a reconstructive type of breast reduction slash lift on me that will give the appearance of implants using my breast tissue. So when he said this, I was like, okay, I'm listening, because this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the fullness on the top, the look that implants give, but I didn't really want to get implants. And so he said to me, basically, I'm gonna take the breast tissue, I'm gonna, take out as much as we need to for the reduction size that you want, And then I'm gonna lift your breast tissue, I'm gonna sew it up higher, and then I'm gonna finish doing tightening the skin on the outside. So that way, your entire breast tissue is being kind of reinforced and it's being held up. And they do this with stitches that are dissolvable, but they take a couple months to dissolve. So basically, my breast tissue is gonna kind of find its new home up higher as opposed to just being kind of loose and hanging. And honey, when he said this, I was like, oh, yes! I was like, yes, this is perfect for me. Like, why take some out, put something else back in if you can work with what I have going on already? And he was like, yes, my thoughts exactly. He drew some diagrams for me as well to make sure I fully understood what each different thing was, and he kind of showed me on my breast like, okay, look, this is how it's gonna look. And I was sold. I was like, yes, like absolutely, can we do this instead? And he was like, yeah, I think this is a great option for you. So at my pre-op, me and Dr. Hakeem actually completely changed the plan of what we were gonna do. But I was so grateful, and I still right now am so grateful that he even told me about that option, because I didn't know that this type of breast lift existed. I never read about it. Through all of my research, through all of the reviews that I read, everything to me was skin only. So it still looked down, it didn't have that. And I was there with Dr. Hakeem for maybe an hour, maybe even more than an hour. I mean, he was very thorough, and I really liked that. I felt like he was really paying attention to me, and he was. Like, he took my case, listened to exactly what I wanted, and he gave me the best solution that I could have asked for. We decided that's what we were gonna do. They gave me all of my pre-op instructions, told me not to eat or drink anything after midnight that day because I was having surgery the day after. So my surgery time was noon, so they wanted me to be at the clinic at about 11. I didn't have any trouble sleeping that night. I went to sleep like normal. And I woke up, I think it was about at 8 o'clock we woke up. They ended up calling me from my doctor's office and told me that my doctor was actually running a little ahead of schedule, and that if I could come in a little bit early. They asked me to come in 1 hour earlier, which was at 10 instead of 11. I started getting a little bit nervous at this point. Not anymore because of the procedure, but I started getting nervous of getting put under. But it was like very minimal nerves. I was more excited and I was, you know, ready to go. My friend waited with me. When they were ready for me, I said bye to my friend. She left. My surgery was going to be about 3 hours, so she was going to go kind of grocery shopping for the rest of the week, and she was going to kind of go just hang out, pass the time while I was having my surgery. So they took me back. They took me in like a little locker room. I put in all of my belongings in there. My phone, my shirt, my bra. I did keep my biker shorts on. I put on a hairnet and my gown. And I had on compression socks, and I put on these little like medical thingies on my feet. And then they took me into kind of like a prep room, and it was nice. There was windows, so it had like a pretty view. I got to meet my nurse. She introduced herself to me, told me she was going to be one of the nurses that was going to be in the OR with me. She went ahead and put an IV in me and started putting in fluids in me because I was a little bit dehydrated. I hadn't had anything to drink since the night before. So she did that, which was nice. After a few minutes, my anesthesiologist came in. He introduced himself to me. He was amazing. I mean, he was so like lighthearted that he just made you feel like you knew him for forever. He sat down with me and actually explained how anesthesia works. He basically told me that they put you to sleep through your IV. They put something in your IV that is gonna kind of, you know, knock you out. And then when you're kind of asleep, They put a tube in your mouth to the back of your throat. They don't put it down your throat, which is what I always thought they did, but they don't. It's just kind of sitting there at the back of your throat, and it's breathing anesthesia in you. So that's what keeps you asleep. And as the surgery is finishing up, they take that little tube out of your mouth, and as you breathe in and out, with every breath that you take out, you're gonna breathe out that anesthesia. And then eventually, once you breathe enough of it out, it's when, you know, you kind of wake up, and that's how you wake up after surgery. Is that crazy? I had no idea it worked like that. He did all of that. He put in 3 different like medications, I guess, in my IV. He told me exactly what each one was and what I would feel with each one. Once my anesthesiologist was all done with me, in comes my doctor. We kind of recap the plan, what was, you know, gonna happen. He grabs a marker and he starts doing the markings on my chest. So as he's doing them, you know, I can kind of see a little bit. They just look like markings to me. And they give me, I think, a mirror, and he goes, grab your breasts and push them up. So I grabbed them. I didn't have a bra on, so I grabbed them where they were and I lifted them up and I pushed them up, and the linings matched up perfect to where my cleavage was, where my nipples were gonna be. I mean, everything just matched up. It was crazy. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. I got really, really excited because me holding them up and looking in the mirror and seeing the markings line up, it was like getting a glimpse of my future boobs. And when I tell you I was ready, sis was ready. I was like, yes, let's go. Like, this is what I'm here for. I told y'all this one was gonna be long. I wait maybe a few more minutes and we're ready. My nurse starts walking me back to the operating room. As soon as I walked in there and I see, you know, like my bed where I'm gonna be laying, where I'm gonna be having surgery, instantly I get really nervous because I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to be put to sleep. Like that, it just made me so nervous. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, you know, I hope I wake up. And of course, logically, you know you're gonna wake up because they ran tests on me. I checked my heart. There was nothing that they could see that would prevent me from waking up. But in the moment, I just got so nervous just seeing it. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. They walked me over to my bed. I laid down. I'm getting ready. I see my anesthesiologist. I see my nurse. I see familiar faces, so I feel a little bit better. And right before I'm like completely asleep, I look at my anesthesiologist and I tell him, please just don't let me die. And he looked at me and he goes, honey, we book round trips around here. We don't do one ways. When he said that, all my nerves went away and I was good. I was put to sleep literally probably seconds after that. And the next thing obviously that I remember is waking up in recovery. So initially when I woke up, I didn't have, you know, too much pain. I could feel that something had happened, but I wouldn't call it pain. But it wasn't anything too intense. It was like a very subtle feeling. A nurse came over to check on me to make sure I was okay. I was kind of floating in and out of being awake, being asleep. I heard them call my friend. I don't remember getting up and sitting on the wheelchair, but I remember them wheeling me into the elevator to bring me down. So like once I got like in the elevator, I started like staying awake, I guess. And I remember getting in the car. My friend and a nurse came down to help me put me in the car. They helped buckle me in, all of that, and I was still no pain. Just I was more scared of like, oh my goodness, like am I not having any pain because I'm still kind of under, like because maybe from the medication that they used during the surgery, maybe that's why I'm not feeling any pain. So I was more like nervous that it was gonna be painful later on. I did have drains in right here, one coming from here and one coming from here. If you don't know what drains are, basically like a medical tube that is coming out of an incision, and they kind of sew it in place so it doesn't, you know, come out or anything. And it's a little tube and it empties into like a medical plastic bulb, and which has measurements on it, and you know kind of record what color the liquid that's coming out is and how much, and you dump that out every so often. The bad thing about drains is that it leaves you with a little scar. But the good thing about the drains, everything is draining out. I have heard from other girls who have breast surgeries that haven't had drains that they feel a lot of kind of pressure and they feel pain from being swollen because they're so swollen because they have all of that extra fluid in there. And so when you don't have drains, your lymphatic system, which is the system that usually clears out any extra fluid, extra toxins, all of that. So in my case, I was glad that they put in the drains because I did drain quite a bit. So we got back to our rental. I went inside, I went straight to the room and laid on my bed. I did have to be kind of propped up with pillows because I couldn't lay flat. So I was propped up by maybe 3 or 4 pillows. And I started to feel a little bit of like a stinging, like a burning. I could tell that it was superficial. It was coming from my skin and not like my muscles or my insides. I had my medication ready. I took all of my medication. After maybe 30 minutes, the stinging went away. My meds took care of that and I went to sleep. I set my alarms to make sure I was gonna wake up for my medication. So I went to sleep and then I would wake up to take my medicine, kind of go back to sleep, rest. I woke up, I had dinner that night fine. The next day I was feeling fine. Again, no pain. And I went in for my 1-day post-op. My doctor comes in and they take the bandage off and you know, they see it. And I'm really nervous at this point. Like, I don't want to look. I'm so nervous and I'm like, no, I don't want to look. I don't want to look. And my doctor says, no, you have to look. So I'm like, okay. So I go over to the mirror and I look and I was like, I had no words. I didn't even know what to say. I could not believe that the boobies looking back at me in the mirror were my boobies. I just didn't expect them to look that good. They're sitting up high, they're round. I mean, they look like, in my eyes, they looked perfect. And of course, I still had tape surrounding my incisions, which was around my nipple, from the bottom of my nipple down to the base of my breast, and then around the bottom, kind of like an anchor. And even with the tapes, they just looked so perfect. Laurie was also there, and so once my doctor said I looked great and he stepped out, Laurie stayed with me. And I had purchased a couple recovery bras from Amazon. Let me show them to you guys. These are the recovery bras that I purchased from Amazon. This is an extra large, and as you guys can see, it has like the clips in the front, and then it's kind of has support like around, but then in the middle it's just kind of like spandex. I had this one with me and Lori said, I have one that's a little bit better than that. So she brought another bra out that was black, and it was a lot bigger than this, and it was a lot, I could definitely tell it was way better quality. It was made in Colombia, number one, and it was really thick and it was like sturdy. Laurie and the PA that was also amazing helped me get into my bra. They even put a little extra padding right around where the incision for my drain was so that it would be a little bit more comfortable for me. They were like, just go home, get some rest, recover, and then I had another appointment with them in about a week. And that was it. I went home. I felt good, like in my new bra. I actually have the bra on right now, so let me show you guys what that looks like. It's literally just like a big recovery bra, and it has the same kind of structure that this bra has, stretchy in the middle and then support around, so it felt really, really good. It also has little hooks right here in case I want to change that. So I felt really good with it. When I got home, I took my medicine, went to sleep. So the next day, which was a Sunday, I stopped taking my pain medication every 4 to 6 hours and just started taking it like when I thought I needed it. And I was able to go all day without any pain medicine. I could feel a little bit of like soreness sometimes, but my doctor instructed me to not pick up anything heavy and to try to avoid doing any activity which had me raise my arms, where I would have to kind of lift my elbows. He mentioned that any activity that you do where you do that, you're gonna end up using your chest muscles, and because that's where I had surgery, he wanted me to avoid that as much as I could. So I did. I was a good patient. I didn't do anything. And of course, my friend, she helped me with breakfast and dinner every day that she was there. So my only job was to rest and recover, and that's what I did. Monday morning came around and my friend had her flight back to Atlanta. I just kind of hung out at the Airbnb, rested. I watched All American on Netflix, finished the whole thing. It actually was a pretty good show. So after a couple days on my own, Thursday came around and I had my 1 week post-op appointment. I drove myself to that appointment. I felt completely fine. I wasn't on any medication. I had gone a couple days without any pain medication, so I was good to go. Came into my 1 week post-op appointment. They took everything off. They looked at me. They said everything looked great. I looked at myself. They looked even better at my 1 week appointment than they did 1 day post-op. I did go down a tiny bit, like a very minimal reduction, but I can definitely tell the difference. I think most people can, because most people don't see me every day, but I see myself every day. I know what I'm carrying around every single day, so I can definitely tell the difference, and it looks amazing. Like, they looked so good. That was it. They cleared me. They told me I was ready to go. Everything looked great. So I had to say bye to Lori, and I had to say bye to Dr. Hakeem and all the incredible nurses and the PA that was there, and drove myself back home. I rested for the rest of the day. I had an early flight the next day, so I woke up about 5 a.m. got ready. I didn't have much to do. I had already packed. I had already done everything. I had to go turn in the rental car. Got to LAX. Had a great flight back. I flew back Delta, which flew at 60% capacity because of COVID. The day after I got back, I was sore, but I give that up to just being in bed for a whole entire week and then having to, you know, go through airport, go through security, go through all of it. It was a lot of movement that it was a lot of movement, considering I had just laid around in bed and rested for a whole week. I haven't had to take any of my pain medicine or any of my muscle relaxers since I've been back. I'm now a week and like 4 days post-op. I've been really careful to not pick anything up, not do too much movement with my hands, any of that. I'll have to change my tapes on my own, not this upcoming Friday, but next upcoming Friday. And while I do that, I also will have video consultations with PSI so that they can kind of walk me through it and watch it, look, make sure everything looks okay, so I can continue to get kind of checked out by them even though I'm not in California. I will actually be going back to my doctor in about 2 months. In 2 months, I should be completely healed up. So in about that time, I'm gonna actually fly out to California again to see my doctor so that they can make sure everything looks good, everything's perfect, and after that, I'll be able to stop wearing my tapes and my incisions should be cleared up. The stitches I have on the inside should be getting dissolved, and that'll be that. For updates, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, the same username as here. The whole thing was just really positive and it really worked out for me. I don't have any complaints. We'll see what the future leads once I'm fully recovered. That was my breast reduction / lift story time. That was a lot. Well, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was informative. If anything else, make sure you subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions for me. I try to reply to all, if not most of my comments. And make sure you hit the bell for the notification so you don't miss any of my updates or any other videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.